Welcome to Thrifty Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to glue PVC pipe. So for starters, I'm sure the cutting and the gluing process is probably what piques most people's curiosity. So there's always the glue and the primer. I'm sure a lot of people have questions on that. Everything I'm going to have to say is just what I've learned over the years. I've been in the landscape industry for the last 10 years. Some of the things I say, others may do differently or might say that I'm doing it wrong, but this is the way I've been taught and the way I do it. So with the primer, which is right here, this is a purple primer, and most of the time for me, when I'm working with 1-inch pipe, I do not use primer if the weather's good. So if the temperature's warm enough, I don't use primer. But if it's on a larger pipe, anything bigger than 1 inch, I generally will use primer. As well as if it's cold weather, I'll use primer prior to using the glue. So this is a 721 PVC glue. It's blue in color. There's also gray glue. Both work. I am biased to the blue. It's just what I've used. Don't have anything against the gray. It's really easy to split and crack your pipe if you have a dull blade. So it's really important to have a new blade on your cutters. Whether that's replacing your blade, which is really easily done with a Phillips screw, or just buying a new set when it gets worn out. Pretty affordable, $10, $15 for a decent pair of cutters. PVC pipe gets really brittle in cold weather, so really be cautious of that. Be careful when you're handling the pipe that you aren't incurring damage when you're walking around with it and transporting it. So this section of PVC pipe I've got for a project outside I'm working on. I'm installing more of the root watering systems on some existing perennials on my property. I'm going to start right here. So here's my mark. A lot of times when I work in the field, I'll just eyeball it wherever I need it to be and then bring it over the cutters, kind of use my thumb as a gauge, and then I'll just drop the mechanism down. And then as you're cutting, I like to, especially if it's cold weather, I like to do a little bit of rotation on the pipe, and you can kind of just score it and then press down and then just continue to rock it, or just go really slow. Again, cold weather, this is where your pipe will crack unwanted like. So just keep going slow, and especially towards the end when there's not as much material, and then it'll cut right through. For this glue up, I'll be attaching to an existing lateral line, and I've already cut that pipe, and now I'm going to need to attach to that. One way you can do that is with a coupler. You can glue that coupler in and attach it directly into that line. If you've got a really small hole you're trying to work in, a slip fix is a good way to do that, where you cut out a section of pipe just shorter than the length of the slip fix, and then you glue on this end first, and then once you glue that on, you've got a small void here. You can glue on this end, and then once you glue that in, then you can expand this, and that expansion is what allows you to glue onto that other section of pipe right there. So, and a third method, which is what I'm going to opt for, is to use a T with a drain. Drains are well suited to put them in the low end of the line. So if you ever fix a broken pipe in the spring, chances are it was due to freeze damage. So it's probably the low spot in the line. So if you install this with a drain on the bottom, that will allow any water after the line's turned off to drain out. It helps to have gravel underneath these, but it's not required. So I'm going to glue a T right here. And one way I was always taught, when you put a drain in, you always want it on the bottom side. But I was always taught to install my fittings on a 45. I'm not exactly sure why we chose to do it this way. One of those things where I was just taught how and not why. One speculation I have is that if there's any pressure added to the pipe, this fitting will tend to rotate rather than break off, which could happen. Same with these T's. If you've got a threaded T and it's vertical and someone steps right here, this is buried shallow, chances are this is going to break. But if this is installed at a 45, the pipe will tend to twist rather than break. Not sure if that's exactly why, but that's my assumption. So I will install this drain on a 45. And the only reason this is important on a glue up is that as you're installing pipe, you want to, you know, make everything according. So I'll kind of install everything directly above or below each other, and then just make sure when I glue it in that I glue it in at an angle to where the drain's on a 45, the funny elbow's on a 45, and that if anybody steps on or breaks it, the pipe will twist. Another thing I was always taught to do when installing your funny elbows is I always point them in the direction of flow. So in this situation, the flow is coming down this way, and it will come up and continue to kind of flow the same direction. You know, it's not required by any means. The pressure will still flow through going the opposite way, but that's just how I've done it. I think that's enough talk about how and why I do things. Let's get to the glue process. Before I glue, I will just hand tighten these fittings. These fittings do not require Teflon. The only thing that requires Teflon are these male and female adapters going into valves. Most of your components are just hand tight, and that way you know the direction they can go. You know, I don't want to force it too much, make it tight and feel good, and then we can get gluing. So like I said, I don't usually use primer. I'll go ahead and show you one with primer and one without, just so you're kind of aware of that process. And this product is called weld-on. This is what most everybody uses. And what's happening here is a chemical reaction. It actually is heating up the PVC, and then it cools back down and it creates a bond. So here I've got that primer. The primer is very liquid. That's the reason I've got this cardboard down, so I don't ruin my wife's nice fitting table. So for the primer, I will just run a bead around, get good even coverage. Obviously you can't spin it in the field, but make sure you've got good coverage on the pipe. I'll usually use something as a prop to kind of hold it up to keep the dirt out of it. And then you can prime your fitting as well. And you can see I just leaked all over my hand. I came running out the end there, and that will stain your hands. Not a big deal, it will come off, but if you don't want to get stained hands, then wear gloves. And then we just glue. Again, same thing, just dabble it in there, and on this end as well. So I always glue both sides, and then when you glue, you always want to hold for a little bit. And what will happen is, especially on the bigger pipe, is it will heat up and it will actually push out the pipe. So if you're not giving it that pressure, it will slip off a little bit and not be as tight of a joint, which can cause a leak in the future. So we've got my drain on tight. Again, I'll install it at a 45, and then I just need to make sure that this fitting is pointing downstream as well as on top of the adjacent side. So this one I'll just do the same thing without primer, and I'll kind of hold the pipe, you know, both at the same time. Real easy, glue one side, glue the other, and then you've got a little bit time to turn your pipe, but not long. As you can see there, it's already starting to harden up and prevent you from moving. These also are very potent. Very strong fumes come out of these containers, so keep that in mind as well. So one quick tip when you're in a bind, it's obviously preferred to use a reducer bushing, but if you don't have a reducer bushing and you're in a bind to fix something, a lot of couplers, name brand couplers, will fit inside the next size up. So here we've got a 1-inch coupler and a 3/4 inch coupler. So these two couplers combined will act as a 1-inch to 3/4 inch reducer bushing. So that's that could be helpful in a bind. With the flex pipe, these are really easy to cut with this type of cutter. You just go on and just give it a pinch and a twist kind of at the same time, and they bite in real quick and easy. Like I said, you can cut them with these cutters as well. Because of the ratcheting action, they'll tend to smash them. So same thing as you tighten down, you want to kind of twist as that starts to cut so that it doesn't down so bad. With the flex pipe as well, it's nice to do this when it's hot outside. Leave your roll out laying out in the sun. That'll make this really flexible and easy to put on. These barbed fittings do have a little bit of a spiral to them, so if you twist these on, they will tend to go on fairly well. Another good way that I found to put these on is actually to kind of wiggle them up and down. And a lot of people will just get it on that far and feel like that's good enough, and in most cases it probably would be, but if this does come off, there's a lot of pressure behind this and this will make a mess. So this point is when I tend to kind of twist this on until that flex pipe bottoms out on the elbow there. Well, thanks for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful and taught you something new about doing your own PVC sprinkler work. In my experience, this is a really easy DIY project. A little bit of hard work and digging and trenching and installing the pipe. Once you learn how to do it, it's pretty simple and straightforward, and it can save you a lot of money. So I hope this is beneficial, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thanks for watching Thrifty Garage. As you can see here in front of me, I've got a variety of components. I've got some 1-inch SCH40 PVC pipe, and from my left to my right, we've got a 1-inch T, a 1-inch T with a 1/2-inch threaded fitting. We've got a auto drain for main or lateral lines. We've got a male adapter, a female adapter, also 1-inch. Female adapter has the female threads and will thread directly onto a male. And then we've got some Teflon tape, different sizes. We've got 1/2-inch and 1-inch, 1.25-inch coupler, 1-inch coupler, 3/4-inch coupler, 1-inch 90 elbow, 3/4 90 elbow, a 1-inch cap. We've got another 1-inch T with 1/2-inch thread. This can also be used for these barbed elbows for funny pipe. These just thread directly in. And then here is a funny pipe T. Both of these ends, the barbed ends, fit this 1/2-inch funny pipe. We've got the 1-inch slip fix right here. We've got glue and primer. And then I've got these ratchet cutters, as well as just single pole cutters. The ratchet cutters are used for the PVC pipe, and this other variety is used for the flex pipe or funny pipe. And this type will work for the funny pipe, but it's just a little bit longer process. So there's a quick overview of what we've got in front of me. Thanks for watching this video today. I hope this has been beneficial and helped you with your DIY sprinkler project. Please like, comment, and subscribe.